when it comes to war and warfare and countries attacking each other, and also when it comes to politics in general, sometimes and oftentimes perception is more important than reality. Perception is more important than reality. Now, I'm very active on social media, and I've noticed a lot of speculation about why Iran attacked Israel and sent, 1,000 missiles their way, or whatever it was, 300 missiles, and how Israel should respond and why. And I've seen a whole range. Well, Israel needs to respond super aggressively, etc., etc. And then what was Iran thinking, and this and that, and a lot of people questioning the motivations behind the behavior here in this conflict. And I think I have some pretty good answers for everybody. So even though I talked about this in my last video, there's some things that I didn't touch on that I would like to touch on here. So let me start, and I'm going to go here. All right, so a lot of the headlines today, the latest: Israel says it will respond to Iran attack as world leaders urge restraint. Now, Israel has to say something like that for domestic politics, and domestic politics is part of the issue here on both sides when it comes to Israel and Iran. But let's back up a little bit and go into a little bit of history here so we can understand the groups at play. So we obviously have the country of Iran, which is ruled by, I believe, an Islamic council and the Ayatollah. And then we have Israel, which is ostensibly a democratic republic of sorts, and they've been at odds with each other, essentially since the creation of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the late 1970s, because one of their founding premises is the destruction or the elimination of the state of Israel. So that's a heck of a way to start off a relationship. So Iran and Israel have been at odds for a long time, and Iran often champions the causes of the Palestinians. And you have in the ongoing conflicts with Israel, you have these proxy groups, right? We have Hamas, of course, which is a Palestinian group which has a long history. Essentially, it's a political / terror organization that operates in Gaza, and from their perspective, they champion the Palestinian cause for statehood. And also the destruction of Israel. And then you have what's called Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is another paramilitary group. You could call it a militia. You could call it a well-armed, non-governmental organization. Hezbollah is similar to Hamas. Hezbollah is based in Lebanon and Syria, ostensibly. Now, Iran is a universally recognized country in international politics. And Iran funds or supports both of these groups in significant ways. Hezbollah is often seen as a more direct proxy of Iran. I don't believe Hamas is as direct a proxy of Iran, but it is believed and therefore averred that Hamas receives support from Iran, although most would say Hezbollah basically exists because of Iran, and it's this proxy group that Iran uses in order to attack Israel, right? And what does that do? Well, and other entities, right? Hezbollah may not just be picking fights with Israel. And what does that do? Well, that gives Iran plausible deniability, right? If Hezbollah is attacking Iran, the country of Iran can say, it's not us. But for decades, Iran has been funding Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been attacking Israel, and also when the United States invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, it is widely known that Iran provided material and financial support to insurgents inside of Iraq to attack the United States, kill United States soldiers, basically during that entire war. So Iran likes to fund and dip their fingers into things through these proxy groups, right? So, Israel, and everybody more or less knows this, but it still gives Iran some plausible deniability here. So Israel, about a month ago, I don't even know if it's been a month, after the October attacks, terrorist attack by Hamas on the state of Israel, that killed many, close to 1,000, I believe, Israeli citizens in a terrible manner. Israel, rightfully so, is pissed off, and they launch the invasion of the Gaza Strip, which is still basically ongoing right now. And, Hezbollah fired some rockets into Israel, but didn't really cause too much damage. But Israeli intelligence, at least according to news reports I've read, have concluded that Iran did participate or participated in or supported the planning of the October attacks last year on Israel. So Israel wanted to retaliate / take a shot at Iran, punish them. A lot of words that we could use to describe that. And earlier this month, they blew up the Iranian embassy in Damascus, which is in the country of Syria, killing 16 Iranians, including a brigadier general who allegedly helped plan the October attacks. Now, when you are a country and your embassy is simply destroyed by another country, you are going to feel compelled to respond in some way, right? And Iran came out immediately and telegraphed the fact that they were going to respond. But Iran also likely doesn't want to start a full-scale war with Israel. Iran, the purpose of Iran's attacks, they serve a couple of purposes, but mostly they have to be seen as responding to Israel's destruction of the embassy in Damascus for internal political reasons, because they would appear extremely weak if they were to have no response at all. However, they also likely do not want to start a war with a technologically, at least a full-scale war, a full-scale interstate war with a technologically superior opponent, which is Israel. So how do you split that baby, right? How do you find the middle? Well, Iran found the middle by launching a whole bunch of missiles, 300 or so, telegraphing the fact that they were launching these missiles from far away so that the enemy could see them coming and act to intercept. So you launch these missiles and you make it look like you made a huge attack on Israel, even though Israel and its allies are able to pick off basically all of those missiles and therefore cause no real damage to Israel. That was the goal. That was Iran's goal. The goal is to create the perception that they retaliated for the Damascus embassy destruction while also not starting a full-scale civil war. Well, this attack here gave them the coverage that they needed. They gave them the cover that they needed, because now the Iranians, who basically have state-controlled media, can go back to their people and they can say, we punished Israel for the killing of our general in Damascus. We punished Israel for destroying the embassy. We fired 300 missiles. And I read a report that Iranian state television is running a video of some other airfield burning or suffering an explosion, and they're claiming that they destroyed one of the Israeli airfields, but Israel has denied that claim, and it's ostensibly not true. But this attack, it served a big purpose for Iran. It didn't start a war, it let them know that it let the world know, oh well, Iran's not just going to stand back. I mean, that's a smaller part of it, but more importantly, it let their own domestic civilians, the people in Iran, they can go back and say, hey, we hit Israel back and we hit them back hard. And Israel likely will not start a interstate conflict over this attack. Nobody was killed. So Iran did it to save face, to save their reputation, to make it look like they retaliated, and also so they could go back and say to their own people that they got revenge for the Damascus attack. So, Israel says it will respond. Now let's hop over to this. Israel says it will respond to Iran attack as world leaders urge restraint. So apparently, everybody is saying that Joe Biden apparently told Israel not to retaliate for this, etc., etc. I actually don't think Israel will, or if Israel does, I think it will be a smaller retaliation than the actual embassy attack, and it will likely be left at that, and the war will stay contained. Now, here's the wild card. The wild card is if what they want is a greater war with Iran, if they actually want a greater war with Iran, then they have a so-called casus belli, right? What's a casus belli? It's a great Latin term, which basically means a reason to go to war, right? And in the Roman times, the Roman Empire was notorious for starting trouble with smaller territories and then taking that little bit of trouble that was created and using it as an excuse for invading and conquering that land, right? And, another example is the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Many people believe that the Gulf of Tonkin incident was actually a casus belli that was created by the United States so that they would have an excuse to go back to their own people and say, hey, we were attacked in Vietnam. We have to invade with greater force and greater numbers, right? So many say the United States created that casus belli. In order to attack and invade Vietnam. There are so many examples all over history. When the Japanese invaded China prior to World War II or during World War II, World War II started a lot earlier for Japan and China than it did for the United States. There was a railroad that was blown up, and a bunch of Japanese. I think the Japanese actually might have killed some of their own soldiers, and then they said, "Oh, the Chinese did this attack. We must invade," right? Because they needed that casus belli to invade China. Now, maybe Israel was poking Iran in order to create that casus belli because they want more trouble with Iran. Now, I don't know that that's the case. I actually don't think that it is. But it's possible that Israel is contemplating just how far they want to go with Iran. My prediction is that they don't want this to go much further. They attacked the embassy. They didn't attack Iranian soil, although Israel has conducted attacks within Iranian territory in the past, and it didn't create a full-scale war. And I doubt that this one will either, unless it's what Israel wants. But you can tell by the attack, by Iran's attack, it's not what they want. Because even though their military is technologically inferior, they could have killed people if they wanted to. Okay, they could have killed people if they wanted to. They didn't want to. They don't want to start that international war. And if Israel doesn't want it either, it won't happen. But the signals by Iran's actions is that is not what they want. They don't want that war. And I don't believe Israel does either. I think Israel's wanted to punish Iran, and that's why they hit the embassy in Damascus. But I could be wrong. And if Israel wants more, there will be more. But I would keep in mind that is likely because that's what Israel wants. They may be fed up or have had enough of Iran, supplying Hezbollah supplying and supporting Hamas and these organizations that have killed so many Israelis over the years. So it's very interesting, but again, I think that what we just talked about is going to give you a better perspective. As far as a war between Israel and Iran, now it's interesting because Israel is more technologically superior when it comes to their aircraft, when it comes to their tanks, their military capabilities, but only they have a population 9.8 million. Iran is technologically inferior. However, numbers matter. Numbers matter. 89 million people. So Iran could field a massive army. And so I don't think Israel wants a war either. It could be extremely bloody. I mean, we just have to point now. I don't think the Israeli-Iranian war would look like an Iran-Iraq war, but the Iran-Iraq war killed. I mean, total casualties. You see down here, 1 to 2 million. This was a savage, brutal war. So I don't think Israel or Iran want a full-scale international war between the two countries. And Iran's attack was a face-saving attack that is meant not to create a larger international conflict. And I don't think Israel wants the larger international conflict. And we'll be able to tell by Israel's retaliation. So if there's no retaliation, that obviously tells us Israel doesn't want that war with Iran. If it's a small retaliation, that also would tell us. Now, if Israel goes ahead and escalates, right, kills more than the 16 people that they killed in Syria, then that would be a signal that maybe Israel does want more. They do want a larger piece of Iran. I don't mean that literally. I mean they want to fight some more. That's what I mean. But my prediction is that that's not what Israel wants. So they will either, number one, not respond at all, or number two, have a response. The key would be, in my opinion, a response lesser than what they did in Damascus. And if they do that, then Iran will likely have a very small response or no response then. And remember, Iran and the United States went through something like this during the Trump administration, where they sent a similar volley at United States troops and didn't kill anybody after the United States had killed Soleimani. So thank you for tuning in to Libertarian Front. Joe Palmetto. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. I got more great content coming for you guys on politics, international politics, whatever. If you want me to talk about something specifically, please leave it in the comments. I read all the comments. Thanks. Bye.